A lesbian is a woman who is emotionally, romantically, and/or sexually attracted to other women. This means that a lesbian can have feelings, crushes, relationships, and sex with women, and not with men or other genders. Knowing your sexual orientation is important for many reasons. It can help you understand yourself better and discover your true self. Feel more comfortable and confident in your own skin. Find people who share your feelings and experiences. Build meaningful and fulfilling relationships. Express your sexuality in a healthy and authentic way. Avoid confusion and frustration. Protect yourself from discrimination and violence. Advocate for your rights and equality. Celebrate your diversity and uniqueness. Knowing your sexual orientation can also improve your mental and physical health. Research has shown that people who are aware and accepting of their sexual orientation have lower levels of stress, anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts, and higher levels of self-esteem, happiness, and life satisfaction. They also have lower risks of substance abuse, sexually transmitted infections, and chronic diseases. Knowing your sexual orientation is not always easy, and it can take time and exploration to figure it out. But it is worth it, because it can make a huge difference in your life and well-being. How to tell if you're a lesbian, signs and indicators. There is no definitive test or checklist that can tell you if you're a lesbian. Everyone's sexuality is different and personal, and it can change over time. However, there are some signs and indicators that can help you figure out if you're a lesbian, such as you feel attracted to women. This can be physical, emotional, or sexual attraction, or a combination of these. You may notice that you find women attractive, that you have crushes on women, that you fantasize about women, or that you want to date or have sex with women. You don't feel attracted to men. This can be a lack of physical, emotional, or sexual attraction, or a repulsion or indifference towards men. You may notice that you don't find men attractive, that you don't have crushes on men, that you don't fantasize about men, or that you don't want to date or have sex with men. You have a history of liking women. This can be in the past or present, and it can be conscious or subconscious. You may remember that you liked women as a child, that you had crushes on female celebrities or fictional characters, that you experimented with women, or that you had relationships with women. You identify with lesbian culture and community. This can be in terms of your values, beliefs, interests, hobbies, style, or appearance. You may notice that you relate to lesbian stories and experiences, that you enjoy lesbian media and art, that you participate in lesbian activities and events, or that you dress or look like a lesbian. You feel happy and comfortable when you think of yourself as a lesbian. This can be a sense of relief, joy, pride, or peace. You may notice that you feel more authentic and free when you accept your lesbian identity, that you feel more connected and supported when you join the lesbian community, or that you feel more excited and hopeful when you pursue lesbian relationships. These are some of the signs and indicators that can help you tell if you're a lesbian, but they are not conclusive or definitive. You may experience some or all of these signs, or you may experience none of them. You may also experience other signs that are not listed here. The only way to know for sure if you're a lesbian is to listen to your own feelings and intuition, and to trust yourself and your sexuality. Unfortunately, there are many myths and misconceptions about lesbianism that can cause confusion, doubt, and shame for lesbians. These myths and misconceptions are often based on ignorance, prejudice, or stereotypes, and they are not true or accurate. Here are some of the most common myths and misconceptions about lesbianism, and why they are wrong. Myth number 1, you have to fit a certain stereotype to be a lesbian. Some people think that all lesbians look, act, or dress a certain way, and that if you don't fit that stereotype, you can't be a lesbian. For example, some people think that all lesbians are masculine, short-haired, sporty, or wear flannel shirts and jeans. This is not true. Lesbians come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and styles, and there is no one way to be a lesbian. You can be a lesbian and be feminine, long-haired, artsy, or wear dresses and heels. You can be a lesbian and be anything you want to be, and you don't have to change yourself to fit a stereotype. Myth number 2, you have to have sex with a woman to know if you're a lesbian. Some people think that you can't know if you're a lesbian until you have sex with a woman. and that if you haven't had sex with a woman, you can't be a lesbian, or that you're not a real lesbian. This is not true. You can know if you're a lesbian without having sex with a woman, just like you can know if you're straight without having sex with a man. Your sexual orientation is based on your attraction, feelings, and identity, not on your sexual experience. You can be a lesbian and be a virgin, or have sex with only one woman, or have sex with many women. You can be a lesbian and have sex with anyone you want, or not have sex at all. Your sexual orientation is valid and real, regardless of your sexual history. Myth number 3. You can't be a lesbian if you've ever liked or dated a man. Some people think that if you've ever liked or dated a man, you can't be a lesbian, or that you're just confused, or that you're lying to yourself or others. This is not true. You can be a lesbian and have liked or dated a man in the past, or even in the present. This does not mean that you're not a lesbian, or that you're bisexual, or that you're in denial. It just means that your sexuality is complex and fluid, and that it can change over time. You may have liked or dated a man because you didn't know you were a lesbian, or because you were trying to fit in, or because you had genuine feelings for him. Whatever the reason, it does not invalidate your lesbian identity, and it does not erase your attraction to women. Myth number 4. You can't be a lesbian if you're feminine, religious, or have children. Some people think that being a lesbian is incompatible with being feminine, religious, or having children, and that if you're any of these things, you can't be a lesbian, or that you're a bad lesbian. This is not true. You can be a lesbian and be feminine, religious, or have children, and there is nothing wrong or contradictory about that. You can be a lesbian and wear makeup, jewelry, or dresses. You can be a lesbian and believe in God, go to church, or pray. You can be a lesbian and have children, either biologically or through adoption or surrogacy. You can be a lesbian and be anything you want to be, and you don't have to give up any part of yourself to be a lesbian. These are some of the myths and misconceptions about lesbianism, but there are many more. The important thing to remember is that these myths and misconceptions are not true, and that they do not define you or your sexuality. You are the only one who can define yourself and your sexuality, and you don't have to listen to anyone who tells you otherwise. By watching this video, you have taken a step towards exploring your lesbian identity and finding out more about yourself and your sexuality. You have also gained some knowledge and skills that can help you navigate and enjoy your lesbian journey. You have also joined a community and a culture that is diverse and vibrant, and that welcomes and celebrates you for who you are. Being a lesbian is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. Being a lesbian is not a problem, but a solution. Being a lesbian is not a curse, but a blessing. Being a lesbian is not a choice, but a destiny. Being a lesbian is not a phase, but a life. Being a lesbian is not a sin, but a virtue. Being a lesbian is not a weakness, but a strength. Being a lesbian is not a shame, but a pride. Being a lesbian is not a mistake, but a miracle. Being a lesbian is not a burden, but a gift. Being a lesbian is not a tragedy, but a triumph. Being a lesbian is not a flaw, but a beauty. Being a lesbian is not a disease, but a cure. Being a lesbian is not a defect, but a perfection. Being a lesbian is not a liability, but an asset. Being a lesbian is not a risk, but a reward. Being a lesbian is not a challenge, but an opportunity. Being a lesbian is not a limitation, but a liberation. Being a lesbian is not a hindrance, but a help. Being a lesbian is not a loss, but a gain. Being a lesbian is not a sacrifice, but a joy. Being a lesbian is not a compromise, but a fulfillment. Being a lesbian is not a duty, but a privilege. Being a lesbian is not a burden, but a blessing.